University, 2021 brought uncertainty, challenge, change. We waved goodbye to longtime colleagues and friends as they embarked on new adventures. We examined our history and reinvigorated our institutional priorities. We returned to the classrooms with energy, excitement, and masks. But behind those masks, smiles, support, and an ever-present eagerness to learn. Because 2021 also brought one of the most important gifts of all, hope. Hope that lies rooted in our sense of perpetual discovery and enduring excellence, in new questions and answers. Hope that strengthens in exclusive bonds of friendships, mentorship, and shared experience. Hope for what's next in pursuit of an equitable, accessible, and supportive education for all Tigers. And hope that our hope is felt far and wide, that our classmates, our campus, our community, our city, our nation, and our world will feel it too. Hope for a momentous tomorrow from a university that is a force in motion.
University of Dallas Crusaders. Number 1, senior guard, Jai Love. Number 2, sophomore forward, Marcus Juarez. Number 22, senior forward, Cameron Hyde. Number 23, senior forward, Trevor Toussaint. Number 33, junior forward, Jack Ball. The rest of the Crusaders, the assistant coaches Chris Conity and Kevin Owens. Head coach of the University of Dallas, Matt Brown. University of Dallas Crusaders. And now, the starting five for the Trinity University Tigers. Number 2, a 6'6" junior forward.
We welcome you into CalGuard Gymnasium for an SCAC men's basketball matchup between the Trinity University Tigers and the University of Dallas Crusaders. Currently going through player introductions. First I'll introduce myself. I'm Ryan Figert and I'm joined on the call today by Brian Yankelson once again. And Brian, 20 days away for Coach Smith and the Tigers, but we're ready to get back going.
Yeah, ready to have this high-flying offense back in CalGuard Gym. Excited to be here for this one.
I'll take us quickly through the starters for the visiting Crusaders. It's Jai Love, Cameron Hyde, Marcus Juarez, Latrell Toussaint, and Jack Boyle. And Brian, why don't you take us through Coach Smith's first five on the floor?
Yeah, for the Tigers, a familiar five. Starters back out there: Enzo Seiki, Ben Hanley, Caleb Jenkins, Tanner Brown, and A.J. Clark. The typical five we're used to seeing there for the Tigers, and good to have Enzo Seiki back out there. He missed the last game against Calvin, but he's back there and at center court, ready for tip-off.
He's going to jump it up against Toussaint. Toussaint, a player to watch alongside Jack Boyle. Those two, the leading rebounders in the SCAC, and they are particularly prolific on the offensive glass, something to look out for as the official hoists it in the air and Trinity control the tip. Here is Caleb Jenkins, the reigning SCAC Player of the Year. Tanner Brown with the first shot of the game for the Tigers, rims out on the three. And the rebound controlled by the Crusaders. Offense going to be in the hands of Jai Love. He's a high-volume player in terms of minutes, 33 a game. He's already played 40 in a conference win over Centenary this season. And he's going to have to carry the load. He's at the controls here, Brian.
Yeah, and that victory against Centenary notable because Centenary, of course, defeating Trinity over there in Shreveport, Louisiana. So just goes to show that in this SCAC, anybody can beat anybody.
And a three late in the clock off the glass for Cameron Hyde gives the lead to the Crusaders early. Jenkins looking to respond off the front of the rim. And it's 3-0 to the visitors. They're swinging around here.
And if I have one piece of advice for viewers at home, I know it's been a while since we've gotten to see this team. Keep your eyes open. This is going to be a fast-paced game. Trinity wants to go quickly, so don't miss a second of it.
There's Boyle going up strong, and Trinity meet him at the rim and going quickly, as you said. Get it to Tanner Brown on the right wing for three, just off the mark to the right. And a minute and a half of scoreless action so far for Trinity. Just the one three-pointer for the Crusaders, coming courtesy of Hyde as the shot clock expired. Here's Toussaint, and the second opportunity as you see him cleaning the offensive glass there. And the lead up to 5. Jenkins penetrates, gets it out for Seiki for 3. And a cold starting few shots for Trinity.
On that last possession, Ryan, we saw something for the Crusaders that we are expecting to see, those offensive rebounds, so important for them. 2 leading rebounders in the conference, and Toussaint number 2.
And A.J. Clark blowing past Toussaint that time, getting to the rim and getting Trinity on the board.
But Coach Jimmy Smith talking to us about how it's going to be so key to really put some bodies on them and rebound as a team. They want to get out and run offensively off the glass, but first they have to get the rebound, so something to keep an eye on there for sure.
Juarez swings it to Hyde. Return to Jai Love. Gets Brown up in the air with the pump fake and a good find underneath. And Jack Boyle on the board now with 2 of his own. 7-2 Crusaders. This one tipped away from Jenkins, controlled by Seiki. Spin move inside the paint, and he's fouled going up. It'll be a first trip to the free throw line in this game. And a first line change coming for Coach Smith 3 minutes into the game.
33, Jack Boyle hits first. Team foul number 1, and will be 2 shots for Enzo Seiki.
Seiki shooting 72% from the line on the season, as the other 4 are subbed out of the game. Seiki himself will be taken out momentarily as well.
Yeah, and those substitutions, something we're going to see throughout the game in that week before Christmas against Alma and Calvin. This Trinity men's basketball team introducing these rotations of very strict units of 5 coming in and out of the game, keeping guys fresh and balanced throughout the game. So the starters will be out there for a few minutes, and then you'll see 5 new guys, and then another unit of 5, as Coach Smith has gone to basically 3 units so far this season.
And Seiki now comes out as Cameron Hyde was off the mark with that latest 3-point attempt. So the 5 on the floor now for Trinity: Owens, Harvey, Williams, Roberts, and Marquez. A little bit of a broadcaster's nightmare, constantly switching out the 5, whereas Dallas a little friendlier to us, running with pretty much the same lineup as the newly introduced Tigers turn it over.
Definitely lets us get to know the whole team, though, and this is quite a big roster. But as Coach Jimmy Smith has told us, he initially wanted it to start the game and see everybody playing at the beginning to decide who has the hot hand and go from there. But against Alma and Calvin working so well that he just really wants to keep it because it keeps his guys fresh, really breaks down the opponent, especially if they only play 7 or 8 guys. They're playing over 30 minutes, and they're going against this team that's running anyway, but the Tigers stay fresh since they're constantly changing who's out there. So for now, Coach Smith sticking with it, especially as conference play presents a lot of games and few amounts of days, so should be interesting to see how it keeps working against these opponents.
Harvey at the controls now for Trinity, as the 3-pointer from the opposite corner is good for Abdullah Roberts. First make from distance for the Tigers here in the first half. The lead cut to 1 for Dallas as Trinity put the pressure on. Boyle underneath for the slam dunk for Toussaint, as they break the pressure and they reap the rewards.
Dallas doing a nice job early, getting room underneath the basket as they're drawing the zone one way and then finding the open man.
Here's Roberts on the drive, and that time hacked as he went up, and that's a hard foul. Roberts feeling the effects. And there's going to be a timeout on the floor, I believe taken by Coach Braun and the Crusaders. That will allow Roberts to walk that one off before he comes back out to shoot 2. In the early action, it's the University of Dallas leading 9-6 over the home team, Trinity Tigers. Both teams retake the floor, and Abdullah Roberts heads to the free throw line. Chance to cut into this 3-point lead for the Crusaders. In the early action, it's the visitors shooting well, 4 of 8 from the floor, including 1 of 2 from behind the arc. As Roberts perfect with his first free throw. Trinity 2 of 6 from the floor, 1 of 5 from behind the arc, and now 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Perfect trip for Abdullah Roberts.
Now we see this full court pressure to go along with the zone. One of the things the Tigers do to cause lots of turnovers. First couple of possessions we saw just the half-court defense, but now going into that full court pressure.
Hands in the air for Ashton Owens as the pass is over to Jai Love. Going up strong and getting 2 points. Jack Boyle once again in the lane, taking advantage of his height and combining well in the early action with Latrell Toussaint. That one off the mark for Abdullah Roberts, and there's a player behind the defense for Dallas. They won't find it, so they find Jai Love. As Boyle tossed up an alley-oop pass, Toussaint not ready for it. Trinity forced the turnover, and quickly going the other way, and that one will count for 3 for Jack Williams. It's 40% on the season, and he adds to that there, just averaging under 2 points a game, already above that, with just the 1 make.
And Ryan, if I remember our rotations correctly, I believe Jack Williams is in here for Jacob Millhouse, typically in this second unit, but we saw Millhouse not in uniform today. So Jack Williams stepping up and with an early 3.
Nice bounce into the lane for Marcus War as he goes up and gets 2 with the right hand. Dallas giving as good as they're getting here, 13-11 lead. As the Trinity third unit and is poised to come into the game at the next opportunity. And getting to the cup that time, Jacob Harvey unable to score. And Jai Love will push it in transition for the Crusaders. Fired in for Jack Boyle. Too strong with the first attempt, and Trinity avoid giving up that second chance. Here's Williams, the latest to score for the maroon and white. Harvey returns it to him. Now gets the bounce pass into the lane. The left-handed layup comes up just short.
Tough there for Harvey. That's a couple of layups in a row that he couldn't quite get up there. But nice movement to the basket.
Toussaint fouled there by Williams reaching in. And that'll allow the Trinity subs to come into the game. Recognize a couple of familiar faces from years past calling Trinity games with Jordan Littman and David Nickel. Joined by Levine, Matthews, and Herr. As the Trinity starting group move down to the other end of the bench. They'll be next up in 3 minutes or so. As the alley-oop from Jai Love comes off the rim, that'll go down as a shot. And Trinity push it.
And what's fascinating, Ryan, is Tigers now on their 15th player when you consider all these rotations, and Dallas just now putting in their first sub. So you can see early on how deep this bench goes for Trinity. And once the starters come in, if the second and third units keep it close or gain a lead, then you have the starters coming back in, and the other team really starts to freak out about what they're going to have to do to come back.
Yeah, it's unique Washington into the game for Jack Boyle, who was very involved in the early action. Looks like that'll move Juarez into the front court. Trinity on a 2-minute scoring drought. But it's still just 2 points behind the visiting Crusaders, who come into this game 3-10 overall, 1-4 in conference games. Trinity with the best overall record in the SCAC at 10-2. Haven't played enough to catch up with a few of the teams above them in the conference standings, just 2-1. Looking to add to that today as the shot clock runs out on UD.
What's interesting about these two teams, they did not face each other last year, even though it was a SCAC-only schedule for the Tigers. And around the SCAC, Trinity did not end up playing Dallas, but they last played in 2020 these two teams have actually split their season matchups for the last 3 seasons, so always some very competitive games between these two, and should be good now that they're back on the court against each other.
Here's Lippman blowing by Jai Love and getting the finger roll to go gracefully for Jordan Lippman, the senior out of Austin, Texas. There'll still be some familiar faces between these two. Lippman, one of them. Jai Love, another. Senior out of St. Louis, Missouri. Just got that 2-year gap between games. As the baseline jumper is going to roll in kindly off the rim for Toussaint. He's up to 6 now in the game. Pierce Matthews dropped off here into the corner for Levine to drive. Kicked out for Nickel. It was perfect with the baseline J. And this game all tied at 15.
Really nice looking jump shot there from David Nickel. Big size there and does a good job close to the rim, but that time stepping out from some range.
Washington draws the contact, and that'll take us into the timeout. Trinity now back into this game, 15 apiece, 11:04 remaining. You see some of the early statistics. Trinity shooting at 39.5% from the floor. Dallas down now to 29%. And we will return in just a moment. Get some look at the early action on the Tiger Network. Latrell Toussaint with an early stat line of 6 points and 6 boards to help Dallas to 15 points overall. Trinity led in scoring by Abdullah Roberts, 1 3-pointer and a couple of free throws. Nobody with more than 1 rebound, just straight out of the timeout. Juarez goes up with it. And he's drawn the contact, headed to the free throw line now. Take a look at the Dallas bench. Not too many of them involved so far, as you mentioned, Bryant. Just Unique Washington coming into the game. Jai Love plays almost 34 minutes a game, and he went 40 already once this season, so don't expect to see much of the Dallas depth. Juarez off the mark with the second free throw, and Lippman receives it now from Nickel. Fired across for Levine. Out into the corner. Here's Levine once again. Nickel, the high post, sets the screen. And a nice layup high off the glass for Griffin Levine, drops home. And Trinity with their first lead of this game.
And a really nice job from Levine there, going up against the tall bodies of the Dallas forwards, but able to sneak in there and get that open look. We saw Harvey struggle with it on the left side, but Levine able to get there on the right side.
Here's Washington. Pump fake, and he gets to the rim. Nice touch off his left hand. And Dallas seesaws back in front. And Trinity about to bring their first group back into the game as the lead is restored by Grayson Hurt. Nice jumper from the elbow. It's blow for blow between the Dallas starters plus Unique Washington up against the third unit for Trinity. That's a nice combination underneath, and the and one slam for Latrell Toussaint, his second dunk of the game. And two bigs able to hook up that time.
And that has to be at least the third time that we've seen that exact same play where the Crusaders able to get it down low and they have another guy right there waiting under the basket. But it looks like they've found something working against this Tigers zone. So we'll see if they keep at it or if the Tigers make that adjustment.
Toussaint can't complete the three-point play, and Trinity bailed out there as they nearly give up an offensive rebound to Cameron Hyde. Last touch is off the 6'4" senior from Missouri City, Texas. He's in double digits, averaging a game as Sakie's unmarked underneath, and Hanley able to find him. That's just how they draw it up, Brian.
And so now with the starters back out there, Trinity down just one before they come in and able to come in with the fresh starting five that you trust the most to hopefully get you on top and then expand the lead.
And Jai Love with a menacing look back to the officials. He's called for a carry. And that turnover gives possession back to Trinity with a 1-point advantage. Jenkins on the rip through up against Jai Love, tracks down the loose ball, bounce pass into Tanner Brown, who kicks it into the corner. Hanley for three off the front of the rim. Rebound by Toussaint. And shot clock malfunction here. So Dallas will take it out from the side. I'll reset this one to 26 seconds. Nine minutes to go in the first half. Dallas trailing by just one. And an open jumper off the mark for Marcus Juarez, rebounded by A.J. Clark. Brown with the skip pass to Hanley. Bounced into the lane for Sakie. Has to make a decision here as it's tipped away from him. Clark to Hanley now. Out into the corner for Tanner Brown. He'll pull for three. Too strong. Cold shooting start for Tanner Brown. Hanley nearly got that one to go as it rattles out. And it's now 2 of 10 in the early action for Trinity from behind the arc.
And 3 of those misses from Tanner Brown, who is 5th in the conference in three-point shooting. So we expect to see him continue to put those up there and eventually get those in, but been a slow start for the sophomore.
Going up strong once again, that time Toussaint off the mark. And Hanley going coast to coast. Nobody got in the way. And he sliced into the lane for 2 points. Now biggest lead of the game for Trinity as they push it to 3.
The senior looking determined on that one.
Cameron Hyde from the near side off the mark. He's now 1 of 3 after banking in his first attempt from long range. A.J. Clark steps out, and that'll wipe away a basket scored by Caleb Jenkins. And we'll head into the break with Trinity up 23-20. The starting group coming in to good effect there, restoring or giving Trinity the lead for the first time. It'll be Dallas to inbound here. And a couple of new faces into the game for them. And immediately putting the pressure on one of those new faces as Jenkins rips it away and goes up for two. That was Holloway who gave it up. Not the introduction to the game he would have hoped for. Jai Love in the backcourt with Cameron Hyde. Hyde advances it, and now Brown's the one that rips it away. Jump ball gives it back to Trinity. Great energy out of the timeout. Coach Smith ramping it up, and that's what he expected. You know, a rough start maybe, as they've not really had much live basketball action in practice of late. Slowly getting guys back in to train, and now it looks like they're back firing on all cylinders as Seiki gets it to roll home and the foul. And now an 8-0 run can be extended to 9 by Trinity's leading scorer this season. Actually, he's just behind Tanner Brown. And now just 1 of 3 on free throws as he fails to complete the three-point play. Jenkins against Jai Love. It's a really good matchup to watch. And this time, Jai Love tripped up. And another turnover as the Dallas guard called for a travel.
Really incredible energy in here. You saw how excited Jenkins was after that one. Every single guy on the Tigers bench on their feet applauding their teammate. You know, there's not a ton of people in here during the winter break, but the Tigers providing their own energy.
And Jenkins providing 2 more points, going up against the big inside, using his body just to shield that one away and get it up for 2. 10-0 run now for Trinity. And Jenkins is feeling it. Jai Love now matched up against Tanner Brown. And the only one on the floor right now for Trinity yet to score. That'll correct itself as the game goes on. We're almost positive. Jai Love for 3, too strong. Tipped out rebound. And a big block for Seiki as the tough start to the game continues for Matt Holloway. Washington driving out of control into the lane. Seiki takes the charge. And these energy plays coming up big for the Tigers at the defensive end.
Crusaders up to 9 turnovers now, and it seems like most of them have come in the last minute or two. Like we said, the Tigers really ramping up their energy defensively.
Yeah, they're at about 16 a game, so on pace to be above their average, not by a ton. But at the pace it's going over the last few minutes, we've got some things to correct. Seiki goes up strong, rejected at the basket. And he's going to be whistled for a foul as Boyle has come back into the game, took the contact. And Trinity going to make their line change. As the officials take a timeout to look at maybe a potential hostile act here, we'll have a look ourselves alongside
some
them.
Animosity from these two teams. Mentioned they haven't faced each other in a while, but 2 rivals within the conference. And on that foul, both benches talking to each other.
Yeah, it just looked like Boyle and Seiki got tangled up there, and Seiki just gave him a little push off. Didn't look malicious, although they'll always look at contact higher up towards the head area. See what they come up with here. And we'll allow them to sort it out as both teams are now in their huddles. And we'll be right back. Trinity in front by 9 on the Tiger Network. So after the officials' timeout, the flagrant foul goes against Seiki as he's rotated out of the lineup. It'll be the foul for contact to the head and neck area, as you saw the official indicate. And the correct stats up on your screen there, as Boyle takes the first free throw and he's on the money. Now 2 of 5 in the game for the Crusaders. And as the second one won't go, they're shooting 43% from the floor, 9 of 21. And they've got 17 rebounds compared to just 9 for Trinity. That was something that Coach Smith was wary of coming into this one, giving up those second chance opportunities. And it certainly played out here in the opening 15 minutes, although Trinity still in control by 8. Boyle looking to find a pass underneath, kicked out. And now Unique Washington for 3 from the near side. That one off the glass, off the rim and out. And the foul, I think, goes against Holloway.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. There was a lot of momentum there for the Tigers before that flagrant foul. So that on that play, we saw the energy remain. We'll see if they can keep that up.
Latrell Toussaint back into the game for Boyle. Just a brief stint out there for him, as he was the one called for the foul. Switched over here for Jacob Harvey. Ashton Owens surveys the floor. Left off for Abdullah Roberts for 3. Already has one make, that one no good. Williams calling for it, top of the arc, and big block from inside. Possession will stay with Trinity, as Braxton Berry ended the game for the first time with this second unit, turned away at the rim. Here is Berry.
Berry, one of those guys that has stepped up for the Tigers, especially when Seiki was. And Berry at 6'8", one of the taller guys on this roster.
Jai Love with a nice floater, getting into the lane uncontested. Don't think Love has come off the floor just yet. He and Juarez both playing all 16 minutes so far. Owens across for Harvey. Got his defender up in the air, but the mid-range jumper too strong. Harvey just doesn't have it going just yet.
But I like what the first year is thinking there. He is so good from beyond the three-point arc, second in the stack from 3. So you could see there he had the defender biting on him and was able to get that jump shot. He didn't get it to go, but you can see that the opening will be there if he continues his hot shooting. He's going to get some looks closer to the basket.
Jai Love with 2 more as Roberts with a leaner in the lane. And he goes down. He'll limp back as Love is pushing it and feeling himself. 6 straight points for Jai Love as he's brought the Crusaders back into this one.
So
not showing any signs of fatigue, and you know he's grabbed a couple of glances over at Caleb Jenkins. I think you can see a budding rivalry there between the 2 point guards.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ryan, looks like that flagrant foul really ended up providing the energy that the Crusaders needed to get back into this one. Saw that first possession go the way of the Tigers, but ever since that flagrant on Enzo Seiki, Dallas has gone on a 6-0 run in just a minute. So now just down 4, and their bench is feeling it too.
Here's Jai Love, responsible for all 6 of those points. And he drops that one off for the 3 from Holloway. No good. And Trinity will push it with Harvey into the lane, flicks it up towards the basket with the left hand. And that one may be an example of a shot that Trinity should have just pulled down and fired around the horn. Here's Holloway. Put under pressure by Ashton Owens. It's out for Washington. Holloway once again. Goes underneath now as Berry can't contest it strong enough. And Dallas are right back into this game. Juarez with 2 more to add on to now an 8-0 run. And they're back within 2, minute 48 to go. And it'll be timeout on the floor. We'll be right back with the conclusion of this first half on the Tiger Network. Well, just when it looked like Trinity was going to start to run away with it here in the first half, Dallas have responded with 8 straight points of their own. The Juarez layup just before the timeout has us at 29-31, Trinity ball. And the third unit out there to finish off the half.
One of the keys to this run for Dallas, we had mentioned that they were getting a little sloppy and having a lot of turnovers forced on them, but they have cut that since that moment where they had those couple of giveaways with Jenkins and Brown in. They have not had a single turnover, and so that's why they pulled to within 2. Now back to 4 off of that jump shot.
Grayson Herr late in the clock there, able to make it count, and in the 8-0 run. Here's Matt Holloway. Bounces it in for Hyde. Jai Love gets it back now from Holloway. Pump fake, kicks it out. And here's Juarez on the baseline. And got caught in a bad way there. Chasing back now is Hyde. As he makes up for his mistake, Marcus Juarez coming back to get the steal. And he'll lead the Crusaders going up the other way.
Yeah, initially on the turnover for the Crusaders, really Nickel forcing that with his great defense down below, but then the Crusaders getting it right back. But you see right there, Nickel again stopping the Crusaders.
And I think that ended up as a pass. It wasn't intended that way for Matt Holloway. Either way, 2 points on the board for Dallas, and they're back within a pair. Trinity can hold for last shot as Jai Love putting the pressure on Griffin Levine. Gets it back now from Grayson Herr. 8 to shoot. Kicked out to Lippman on the far side. He'll look for 3, just too strong. And the clock will expire with Trinity in the lead, but only by a pair as we head to the locker room. And the final totals from the first half. The visiting University of Dallas shooting 48% from the floor on 14 of 29, 1 of 7 from 3, just 2 of 5 from the free throw line. They committed 10 turnovers, but grabbed 6 offensive rebounds of their 22 total boards. For Trinity, 42% shooting on 13 of 31 and 2 of 12 from 3. Notably, Tanner Brown going into the half with no points. The leading scorer for Trinity will look to set things right in the second half when we return. 15 minutes on the clock. 20 minutes down here in Calgary Gymnasium. Trinity lead 33-31.
For Trinity University, 2021 brought uncertainty, challenge, change. We waved goodbye to longtime colleagues and friends as they embarked on new adventures. We examined our history and reinvigorated our institutional priorities. We returned to the classrooms with energy, excitement, and masks. But behind those masks, smiles, support, and an ever-present eagerness to learn. Because 2021 also brought one of the most important gifts of all, hope. Hope that lies rooted in our sense of perpetual discovery and enduring excellence, in new questions and answers. Hope that strengthens in exclusive bonds of friendships, mentorship, and shared experience. Hope for what's next in pursuit of an equitable, accessible, and supportive education for all Tigers. And hope that our hope is felt far and wide, that our classmates, our campus, our community, our city, our nation, and our world will feel it too. Hope for a momentous tomorrow from a university that is a force in motion.
We welcome you back into CalGuard Gymnasium. And Brian, it was definitely a first half even on both sides, going back and forth, a game of runs. Dallas fighting back with an 8-0 run of their own to get back into this game. What have you seen as the keys for both teams, as it's, just a 2-point game, 33-31?
Yeah, honestly, I think, like you said, both teams have gone on their runs, but I don't think Trinity's doing anything wrong. I think some shots just aren't falling, some open shots, especially from beyond the three-point arc. Tanner Brown, scoreless, not something we're typically seeing from the leading scorer on the Tigers. So I think it'll be key to get him the ball early, get him going, and I think the rest will take care of itself.
Absolutely. As we look at the stats for both teams for Trinity, amongst the first unit, Seiki with 5 points, Hanley with 2, Jenkins with 4, as you mentioned, Brown scoreless, and A.J. Clark with 2. Amongst some of the reserve lineups, you got Williams with 3, Her with 4, and Abdullah Roberts with 5. We're back underway here in live action. And it's Jai Love, same as it's been all game for the University of Dallas in the backcourt. He really orchestrated that run to get back into the game. He's working back out with Juarez, Hyde, Toussaint, and Boyle. Here's Toussaint looking to spin in the lane. Has it ripped away from him as two Tigers hit the deck. Love with a friendly bounce off the back iron, and this one's all tied.
I think for Dallas, we're seeing why Latrell Toussaint was named SCAC Player of the Week in early December. That was week 6 of play, but he is just all over the place. He's in double digits in both points and rebounds with 10 apiece. So he is really leading Dallas, and some of their other leading scorers not necessarily contributing as much as they have, especially Boyle. Started off with a couple of quick baskets early in the first half. Haven't seen much from him. He had 24 points in their loss to St. Thomas, but Toussaint just carrying the Crusaders so far and has them tied here early in the second half.
Yeah, and that game you mentioned for Boyle was a career high, 24 on 9 of 10 shooting and 6 of 7 from the line. So certainly shooting above his averages there. And he's come back to earth a little bit after the first half. Trinity work it around the arc. Off the inbounds play, they get Tanner Brown open for 3, and again, he's off the mark, now 0-4. Tigers not shooting it well as a team from distance, but they're leading three-point shooters yet to drop one in. As that one drops in for Jai Love. And Dallas are back in front. They spent most of the first 10 minutes in the lead. And Coach Smith told us they're a team that likes to play with the lead, Brian. It really suits them.
Yeah, especially when they got off to a lead against Centenary. It was really to their advantage, like you said, since they rebound so well and they're able to play against a normal half-court defense. It suits them when the game starts to slow down a bit.
That pass into the lane intended for Toussaint, tipped away by the Tigers. 15 to shoot for Dallas. They'll have it from under the basket with Jai Love. Nobody really open as they just go up top for Toussaint to go and get it. Notably, we haven't seen Cristofano for Dallas, who's been their premier shooter from outside. It's been Toussaint getting it done inside the lane as he did there for 2 more to double the Dallas advantage. Cristofano Jr. shooting 42% from 3 and averaging just about 12 a game. Stats have been way up this season, but looks like he's not available for Coach Gran today. Here's Seiki, open look for 3. Over the outstretched arm of Jai Love, and the follow-up for Tanner Brown. He hasn't had it from the outside, but he'll get a chance at 3 the old-fashioned way as he's fouled on the putback layup.
And hopefully that'll get him going. You know, sometimes you just got to see the ball go through the bucket once, and that'll get you going. So Tanner Brown fighting for the offensive rebound, and there at the right time.
And he is on the mark with the free throw to complete the 3-point play. Jenkins harassing Cameron Hyde in the backcourt. Brown matched up against Jai Love. They got to get it across the timeline here, and they do. Just a couple of seconds to go.
And that offensive rebound not only leading to points, but also almost evening up the offensive rebounds for these two teams, and we talked about that as a big key. but Dallas not running away with that stat, so Tigers doing a good job focusing on these big bodies that the Crusaders have.
Both Seiki and A.J. Clark trying to take the contact. It was Toussaint that went up and got the bucket. Try and get word of why the whistle was blown there. Toussaint up to 14 points on 7 of 10 shooting as Hanley with the driving kick out for Seiki. No good for 3. Jai Love running ahead to the play. They'll slow it down with Cameron Hyde. Marcus Flores back to Hyde.
You have to wonder how many more three-point shots the Tigers are going to put up there before turning their attention towards getting to the basket. You know they're capable of making them, but if they're just not falling today, you're going to have to find another avenue to score.
Jenkins with the hip check against Jai Love. First team foul against Trinity in the second half. And first against Jenkins in the game as well. Juarez back out to Hyde. And spinning and getting to the cup. Unable to finish was Toussaint, and Trinity will push it. A.J. Clark to Jenkins. The long 2 is good. Caleb Jenkins now up to 6 on the evening. And Trinity back within 1.
And that's where the Tigers are at their best when they get to run in the open floor. They forced some turnovers halfway through that first half that got them there, but we'll see if they're able to get back and running.
An open look for 3 materialized for Cameron Hyde. He couldn't take it. He's now 1 of 6 after knocking down his first 3 of the game on the opening possession. Trinity commit the loose ball foul there, going for the rebound. And it's back with Dallas, 20 to shoot. And that time, they are going to get the charge. Latrell Toussaint going right into the chest of Ben Hanley. A fourth personal, according to our stat charts, for Toussaint. And if it is, that's a really big foul with 16 minutes to go. We'll try and get confirmation on the official number.
Yeah, right there, a big difference. The PA saying that's 3 fouls, but our stats saying 4 on Toussaint. But either way, he has gone to the bench, and the Tigers taking advantage right away. Have that tall man on the bench and go right to the basket with his absence.
Yeah, Clark with a nice no-look pass to find Ben Hanley underneath, freed up by the absence of Toussaint. And Trinity are back in front now. Started the half with a 2-point advantage. And they lead 40 to 39 as it stands. Juarez with the leaner in the lane. No good. And it's 4v3 going the other way, and it's Ben Hanley to the cup for 2. 4 quick points for the senior guard. Jenkins hits the deck as Trinity are back defending now. Clark gets a hand on it, poking it away from Jai Love, who's back with the ball. Boyle comes across to try and get it.
Second time we've seen some real drive in every essence of the word, not only driving to the basket, Hanley, but from the moment he gets the ball in his hands on the opposite end of the court, as that one goes away and out of bounds. Hanley just determined to get to the basket and getting that layup. Last time it led to a nice little run for the Tigers. We'll see if it leads to something this time as the media timeout under 16 is here.
So we're over 5 minutes into the second half, and Brian, it looks like Trinity maybe going away from those quick rotations as you see Seiki, Clark, and Jenkins come back out from the timeout. You think maybe that's down to some difficulties with the second unit in the first half?
Yeah, I think that definitely could be. We mentioned at the top how Coach Smith was expecting a little bit of choppiness. Just been so long since they last played on December 21st. So maybe going back to more of the origins of this idea of letting everybody play early and then seeing who has the hot hand. So here, sticking with 3 of the starters who are playing well and going to Harvey and Nickel off the bench.
It'll be Nickel to anchor this zone defense for Trinity as he's matched up against his opposite, number 33, Jack Boyle.
And this also might be a response to the success that the Crusaders have had inside as Boyle there with the layup. But Nickel and Seiki not typically playing together, but you have some real size now there down low. So we'll see how that works out for the Tigers. Toussaint currently on the bench, but the Tigers going big anyway.
And for Dallas, their game doesn't hinge on the three-pointer. They're just 1 of 9 today, doing the damage underneath. For Trinity, they definitely place more emphasis on outside shooting, and 2 of 16 is just not going to get it done. They need to improve from outside the arc if they're going to go on and win this game. Currently find themselves trailing by 1 as Dallas turn it over.
And that one, typically when you get those out-of-bounds calls, foot barely on the line, but that time Cristofano had his entire foot on the baseline right there. So break for the Tigers.
And there is Cristofano. We mentioned we hadn't seen him yet. He's been at almost 30 minutes a game. I believe, yeah, his first action coming into it here in the second half. Seiki, who ended his first half action with that flagrant foul that really propelled Dallas on. Definitely has a point to prove here in the second. He's at the line now after 1 of 3 performance there in the first half. Now up to 2 of 4 for 6 points in total. Seiki twice the SCAC Player of the Week already this year. And he goes 2 for 2 that time, a perfect trip to get Trinity back in front. Dallas really trying to spread it out, and they find Cristofano in the corner. His first look of the game, no good, as Seiki with an effective box out, tripped up by Boyle. Referee didn't see it, as Nickel with the free throw line jumper on the mark. Seiki shaking his right hand. There's an awkward tumble.
That is a smooth mid-range jump shot from Nickel. Twice now we've seen that. And if that's going, that's a dangerous weapon with his size, forcing the defense to respect that jump shooting.
And nearly a chance at a three-point play for Marcus Juarez, but it just falls off the front of the rim. Nickel called for the foul. And a quick conference here with Coach Smith and Caleb Jenkins. Toussaint with 14 and 11 for Dallas. And Jai Love with 10 and 3 assists to lead the way for the Crusaders. Nobody in double figures yet for Trinity. They've spread the points around. Seiki with 7 points leads that category. Clark with 5 boards and 2 assists to lead the way for Trinity. Here he is. Harvey to the corner for Jenkins. He comes up short. Offensive rebound. Juggled around and secured by Nickel. Loose ball, and it's recovered by Marcus Juarez as Trinity don't take care of it that time. They turn it over. Their lead under threat as Cristofano spots up from the other corner. Again, off the mark, coming off the front of the iron. This game really opening up as Harvey sees a 3 roll off the rim. And that 3-point shooting number for Trinity continuing to plummet. 2 of 17.
Just not what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing that type of pace, and it starts to feel frantic for sure, but we're used to seeing the shots go down for the Tigers.
Good contest there for Nickel at the rim. Turns away Boyle. And Seiki with a head of steam looks to step past Boyle and draw the foul, and he does.
I mean, Ryan, this is a team, is Trinity, that has scored over 100 points 3 times They hadn't done that in quite a while going into this season, but they've already done it 3 times. And so we're used to seeing them approaching the century mark near the second half, but here just at 46 points, Aseki slow to get up. Saw him shaking his hand earlier, and now taking a hard fall as he drove to the basket. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, really putting his body on the line there. He knew the contact was going to be tough as he tried to step past the defender, Jack Boyle. Trinity, to your point, 7th in the nation in scoring offense. They haven't played as many games or as frequently as some of the other top teams in the country, but they're up there with 91.8 points a night. And they're well below that, thanks largely in part to the three-pointer just not falling tonight. Still time, 12 minutes on the clock, and they're still in front, Brian. Not all wins are going to look the same. You know, maybe they have to grind this one out, and then they go up to play St. Thomas on Thursday, and they're shooting the lights out. Every win's going to look different. Trinity certainly seen their character tested, though, by a tough University of Dallas team at home.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, especially when you get into conference play. You know, a win is a win. So however the Tigers are able to grind this out, if they stay ahead, I don't think there'll be any complaints.
Jai Love steps into a three. He's under 30% on the season, and Trinity gave him that chance. He couldn't take it. Marquez called for a foul as we head into the timeout. Trinity right where they were to start the half, up 2. Now 11:45 to go on the Tiger Network. Both teams retake the floor. Trinity in front 47 to 45. A chance for Dallas to level this one with Latrell Toussaint at the line, but he's off the mark with the first one.
And Toussaint back at the line and back in the game after a brief break. We thought he had 4 fouls. That's what our stats showed initially. But that correction has been made. He is at 3, so a pretty big difference for the Crusaders. Toussaint at 14 points and 13 rebounds, so they definitely need him in there.
Harvey finally drops into 3 as the long ball falls for the Tigers. Just their 3rd make from distance tonight. And coming out of the timeout, that's huge, pushing the lead out to 5. Toussaint, maybe just 3 fouls in the game, but he committed a cardinal sin, missing both free throws coming out of the timeout, and now momentum is all with Trinity as Cristofano commits the turnover.
It was just 1 bucket, 1 possession, but you could almost feel the sense of relief for the Tiger bench as that 3 went in from Harvey. So we'll see now their lead up to 5, if they can build on that and go on a run like they did in the first half.
And some of the guys out there now that ran with that second unit in the first half. As it's back to Harvey, and it's leather through lace for Jacob Harvey, 2 in a row. The lead now extended out to 8.
Harvey, the leading
Jai Love looking to
scorer.
find a response.
Harvey, the leading scorer on the bench, off the bench for the Tigers, averaging over 7 points a game, and he's 2nd in the conference in 3-point percentage. And we're seeing that here today. A big momentum boost for the Tigers thanks to the first year.
And finally, Dallas able to put a stop to the Ben Hanley 40-foot drive. They get in the way and draw the charge. But hey, they had to stop it eventually. He was going to take what was given until that point.
And I don't know about you, but I would not want to step in front of that freight train. So more often than not, I think Hanley's going to have some room there.
Coach Smith all the way out onto the floor to make sure that the referee saw that they went over and back of that halfway line. Another turnover for Dallas, who've gone cold offensively, 2 of their last 11. No points in almost 3 minutes. And that's coincided with a couple straight threes for Jacob Harvey. Trinity finally feel like they have a foothold of control in this game, and it's good ball movement to create the space underneath, and the follow-up from Jordan Littman to tip it in. Double-digit lead for the first time tonight.
And not just good ball movement, but great movement without the ball from the Tigers, just going all over the court and resulting in points there on the offensive rebound, but thanks to the movement without the ball on that possession.
Here's Boyle looking to end the run. His layup won't go, and Marquez comes down with it, has to get rid of it as his plant foot was pulled from underneath him. And a big block for Boyle to put an end to the three-point shooting streak for Jacob Harvey, although maybe that one was destined to go in. We'll never know. It ended up on the other side of half court.
And some laughs in the stands. That would have been a crazy way to continue this half. 3 straight threes from Harvey. Definitely would have provided some increased momentum that the Tigers already creating some on their own 9-0 run, but that really would have accentuated that. But Dallas trying to hang in there.
Here's Marquez underneath, and Hanley with a great wraparound bounce pass to find him.
And as much energy as is coming off the Tigers bench equally, but some negative energy on the Dallas bench. Coach Matt Gran stomping his feet on the court, not happy with what he's seeing from his Crusaders.
They're looking to move it around here as Juarez returns it to Jai Love. Owens gets a hand in his face. And Marquez sitting on the ball there, and one of the more bizarre defensive rebounds. Finally, they call the jump ball for Mick Marquez. I think we need a replay of that one, if possible. Marquez almost laying an egg there. Harvey gets it back from Hanley. Here's Hanley on the lob looking for Littman, and that would have set this crowd into a frenzy. They couldn't quite connect as Littman was coming up from the far corner.
And unfortunately, that one coming up just short, but if you follow the Tigers moving without the ball, you could see there Harvey setting some screens off the ball and drawing the attention of Dallas since he's hit a couple of threes in this half. And so while they followed Harvey, Littman was open there for the alley-oop, just unable to finish it, but you can see what it does when the Tigers are able to hit these three-point shots, just opens everything back up.
At the other end, Dallas still unable to hit three-point shots of their own. Juarez steps into this one, and he silences me in the booth. It's their first make since the opening possession, now 2 of 14 in the game. As Trinity work it into the lane for Marquez. Second effort won't go, and Holloway comes down with the board. He's picked up his dribble here in an awkward spot. Love's going to have to advance this, and he does, under pressure from Ashton Owens. Under 8 minutes to go, and Trinity now in front by 9. That latest three-pointer drawing it back into a single-digit game. But Trinity on a real run here, and we'll look for more when we return. 7:54 to go. As we come out of the timeout, 7:54 to go in this game. Trinity in front 57-48. Still yet to put anyone into double-digit scoring. Seiki leads the way with 8. On the other side, Toussaint, 14 points and 13 boards. And pretty much everybody under their average for Trinity, and we haven't seen much of Tanner Brown here in the second half. He's still sat on the bench as he was ice cold from the outside. But they've got some timely threes from Jacob Harvey, and they find themselves in front by 9 as Juarez made one moments ago, and he drops this one in as well. A 6-0 run for Juarez, and it's back to a 6-point game.
Yeah, with all that, Dallas responding with a 6-0 run of their own, and they're down just 6, so plenty of time for them to remain in this game.
Lippman gets to the baseline, swings it around, and Owens has his three-pointer blocked. Another block on the outside for Jack Boyle, who's then able to fire it off the Trinity player. And the referee points Dallas ball.
Really smart play there from Boyle, not only getting his second big rejection of the half, but then getting it off Owens to get the ball to the Crusaders.
Holloway finally able to find Jai Love, and it's out for Juarez, who had a heat check 3 there from a step behind the line. No good. Neither was the follow-up for Boyle. Here's Lippman into the lane. His pass deflected on its way out for Hanley. A great bounce pass underneath, and Mick Marquez goes up for 2. Hanley showing his great court vision. Even when it gets congested down low, he's able to find the bounce pass there. And Marquez called for a block. He definitely wasn't in the circle. And the referee says he tried to readjust. 4 Trinity starters set to come back in. Hanley's the only one on the floor right now. 6 points and 3 assists for Ben Hanley.
And Boyle here at the line getting right back at it, drawing the foul, missing the first free throw, but I think you can mark that previous possession down as a pretty big momentum shift. Instead of knocking down that 3, could have gotten it down to 3, and then Boyle, I think he really is going to want that one back, had an easy one underneath the basket and just missed it. No blocks or anything, just couldn't get it in there. And then on the other end, the Tigers able to get 2 points. So instead of cutting it down to 3 or 4, the Tigers got it back up to 8. And as time runs out, that could be a key little swing there for the Tigers.
Yeah, and key as well. 5 of 11 on free throws for Dallas as Seiki gets it to go on the long 2. And he's into double figures, finally up to 10. Here's the trap for Holloway, and A.J. Clark reads the pass going up. He's fouled by Jai Love. We'll see if they say it was in the act of shooting or not. 2 shots, says the referee.
And a smile there from Clark. We've seen a couple of highlight reel dunks from him this season. Looked to have a chance at one there, but Love stopping him in his tracks. But still, Clark getting a couple of free throw attempts.
The senior playing in his hometown of San Antonio drops in his 3rd point of the game, averaging close to 10. He is at a career best average for points, boards, and assist, level best with his performance last year at 3.8 a game. No good with the second offering. Jenkins showing his energy in the backcourt as Washington's put under pressure. And Dallas don't advance it in time. Jai Love felt the sense of urgency and got into high gear but couldn't pass the line before the referee's whistle sounded.
That's always a fun turnover to try to track as you stare at the shot clock and see where the player is, and that time the Tigers forcing a turnover on the half-court violation.
Clark with a hesitation and a skip pass out to Jenkins in the far corner. He'll shoot the contested 3, too strong. And the rebound gathered by Jai Love. Love underneath for Boyle. Washington with the baseline drive. Gets it back out for Jai Love. Both post players involved here as Boyle goes up. Last touch off Trinity as they couldn't secure the board. 5:27 to play. 10-point lead for the home team.
And you'll notice there the Tigers, how good a job they're doing now rotating underneath the basket. Early on, we mentioned those 3 or 4 instances where the Crusaders were able to get a nice give and go with 2 bigs underneath, but you see there Tigers rotating well and forcing the ball back out. So they've adjusted from that first half, and even though that jump shot goes, I think they'll prefer to keep the Crusaders shooting those mid-range jumpers and get those easy ones down low.
Yeah, good hesitation for Unique Washington to create the space from Tanner Brown, who was defending him. And he knocks it in for 2. Dallas in the bonus the rest of the way. 5:03 to play. That'll definitely play a role. As Jenkins was fouled on his drive. It'll be an inbounds play from the far side. Sixth team foul against the Crusaders. Littman getting a run with the starters here as Hanley's on the bench. Jenkins wanted it underneath, never got it from Seiki as Clark's dribbling amongst the bodies in the lane. Brown just hasn't had it today as Jenkins fighting well above his size there underneath, grabs the offensive rebound and he's fouled, sending him to the line. Jenkins here for the 1-and-1. 6 points in the game. He's averaging right at 10 per night. And the all-important first free throw falls for Caleb Jenkins, who's 62% on the year coming into this game. And the towel comes out here as Littman draws attention to some moisture on the floor. A little bit of a delay here for Jenkins before his second free throw. Tigers on a 2-game winning streak coming into this game. They had Alma and Colvin here able to beat both. For Dallas, they came into this one on a little bit of a schneid. Currently on a 5-game losing streak. They're at risk of dropping 6 in a row now, as they've still got time to turn this one around, but down double digits with under 5 to play.
Yeah, and Ryan, the Tigers have played an incredibly tough non-conference schedule, especially against the American Southwest Conference that we know so well, as the women's and the men's team both taking advantage of playing their in-state rivals, and the Tigers going 5-0 in the ASC. McMurray, Hardin, Simmons, who's ranked number 22 now, Concordia, UT Dallas, and Sul Ross State, all teams the Tigers have beaten. So some great experience early on in the season, and now as the Tigers firmly into the conference schedule, able to grind it through these games against some familiar opponents.
Seiki going up through the contact, off the mark with the jumper from close range. As we approach 4 to go, Hanley's set to come back in. Boyle was waiting for the contacts and instead kicked it out for Jai Love, who knocked down the 3. It's back to a 5-point game. Jenkins thought about responding, got his defender up in the air, gets to the cup, and can't finish. Seiki grabs the offensive rebound, puts it up, and wants the foul for a chance at 3, but he'll take 2 to push it back out to a 7-point advantage.
Boy, there was a lot of contact there as Seiki went up, about 3 Crusaders on top of him. Would love to see that replay, and now a turnover on the other end, but somehow Seiki not getting the foul call there.
As Unique Washington travels at the other end, and a little run for Dallas, met by some points on the Trinity side. 3:42 to go, 66-59 to the Tigers. So it's the starting 5 back out there for Trinity as they look to close out this conference win. Up 7 now with 3.5 to go. Jenkins advances it into the front court, finds Hanley. He's joined back up with the other 4 starters. Jenkins stuck at the top of the key. Gets it back to Hanley. Seiki for a long 2. Just barely grazes the front of the iron. And Jailev will key the offense for Dallas. Haven't seen as much of Toussaint in the second half after he was pretty dominant down low for the visitors in the first. No look skip pass for Jenkins, and he gets Brown open for the cut to the basket. The left-handed finish is good.
What a great move by Brown there. We have highlighted his struggles from beyond the arc today, 0 for 5, but you can see how much respect he's garnered from beyond the arc as he got his defender to jump, and instead of forcing up another 3, taking it right to the basket for the easy layup. So a great move there. Shows that even on an off night, Brown's such a dependable scorer late in these games.
Hanley called for his first foul of the game. Send Juarez to the line. And the first of the 1-and-1 is good.
If you got to look at the on-screen graphic during the timeout, you'd notice that a lot of the categories pretty even here and speaks to the close game that we've had, but one area that definitely stands out, Dallas has missed 6 free throws, shooting just 57% from the line. So here, able to knock down both is Juarez, but that'll be key down the stretch as both teams likely to head to the line more.
And straight out of the free throw, Hanley able to find Brown in the corner. He doesn't get 3, but Seiki will get a chance at 3 as he goes up, takes the contact, and drops it in for 2, now headed to the line for the third. Chance to extend it back out into double digits. And he does with a kind bounce off the front of the rim, leading all scorers now with 15 points. Jailev is even with him. And he's got the ball in his hands here. He's played every minute of this game, as has Juarez. Both of them up to 37 now. Maybe that fatigue's starting to show as Trinity run it the other way. Brown can't get it to go. Tipped out by Seiki. Jenkins with the runner in the lane, too strong. Jenkins rises highest to try and tip it home off his own miss.
Home crowd wanting an elbow there on the rebound from Boyle, not getting it.
And if you look at the minutes played, you start to see maybe the benefits of that rotation system in the first half for Dallas. 38, 37, 32 minutes all on the floor right now as Jailev able to pick the pocket and go the other way. Can't finish. And Clark controls the rebound. For Trinity, nobody's played more than 25 minutes as Clark gets to the cup. Can't finish. Kicked out now for Jenkins for 3, and that's the dagger. Caleb Jenkins will put this game to bed here. It's now a 13-point lead for Trinity with under 2 minutes to go. Dallas have fought hard here. They've come up just short as that fatigue has set in, and the freshness for the Trinity starters has really played a role. Just as Coach Smith drew it up, Brian.
I think that's exactly right, Brian. He had this rotation working before Christmas against Alma and Calvin, decided to bring it out for the new year, first game of 2022, and it is working to perfection. I'm just tired watching Love and Juarez play 38 minutes. I don't know how they're doing it running up and down with these Tigers, but the Tigers themselves fresh and ready to go here late in the game, and 6-0 run over the last minute shows that it's working pretty well.
Both teams struggling from the outside. This game really showing Trinity that they can win in different ways. We mentioned their high-scoring performances this year. This won't be one of them. They're now approaching 80 points, nothing to scoff at. But they haven't got significant contributions from the likes of Tanner Brown, who's 0 of 6 from the outside. Just 5 of 26 as a team, and yet they still have a 13-point lead.
And as the Tigers pull away a little bit here, up by 13 now, Worth looking ahead. We know the Tigers certainly have been to a big game coming up on the 13th this Thursday on the road, so we won't bring it to you, but we'll certainly be watching as the Tigers face defending conference champion St. Thomas, a game the Tigers have circled on their calendars for a long time. Lost to the Celts in the championship game last year, and we know the Tigers want their revenge this week.
And it'll be 2 games against the Celts in pretty quick succession. That'll be the next home game for Trinity as Jai Love sees his shot rattle out. The follow-up from Jack Boyle is good. The next home game for the Tigers, as it stands, of course, all games subject to change on the schedule. January 21st, 6 o'clock tip against the University of St. Thomas. That'll be a rematch of Thursday. And as you mentioned, a rematch of last year's SCAC championship game. Jenkins, as the shot clock is into single digits, comes off the front of the rim. And 50 seconds to go. Unique Washington out for Juarez, who'll pull up quickly for 3. And Seiki secures the board, takes the contact from Toussaint. And that'll send Seiki to the line at the other end. A savvy play that time for Enzo to just put the brakes on in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, savvy play, and you also get to see the energy that Seiki provides for this Tigers team. Missed him against Calvin, even though the Tigers were able to come up with that victory. He provides such a presence here, just not only in the box score, leading the way with 15 points, but what he does away from the ball and motivating his teammates can really not be calculated.
Unique Washington for 3. Jenkins got a hand in his face on the closeout, and now Jai Love, as the clock continues to tick down, Hanley will pick up the foul. The third chance opportunity there for Jack Boyle. He's up to the line for 2 shots, and the result now all but assured for the Tigers. They'll move to 11-2 on the season, 3-1 in conference play. And all eyes will turn to the Houston area for that championship rematch with the Celts on Thursday. Next up for the University of Dallas will be a home game against Southwestern on the 15th. 4 o'clock tip-off for that one, as they'll look to bust what is now a 6-game losing streak. That offensive rebound falls kindly for Toussaint, and it ends up being a 3-point trip down the floor. For Toussaint, that means he now leads all scorers in the game with 16 and 16 boards. So the leading rebounders in the conference have definitely shown their quality cleaning the glass. Toussaint came in just trailing Jack Boyle. He'll now be ahead. He's been the leading rebounder for Dallas for the last 3 seasons now. As Trinity will be able to dribble out the clock, and it's Jacob Harvey to do so. Harvey played a really big role with 2 crucial threes halfway through the second half, and from there, Trinity never looking back. They take this one 74-65. Brian, your final thoughts as Trinity returned home after 20 days away to pick up another win.
Yeah, Ryan, I think quite an impressive victory for Trinity. I think if you would have told everybody in the building that leading scorer Tanner Brown would only have 5 points and that Trinity would be shooting 5 for 27 from 3 at just 18%, that it'd be tough to pull out a win. But with those things, considering the Tigers able to still pull out a 9-point conference win, so important to win these games against conference rivals in the regular season. So I think this is a win that the Tigers will be proud of, especially as they hopefully get back on the court more consistently and will only continue to improve and get more balance and camaraderie as a team.
The final totals for Trinity: Enzo Seiki with 15 points and 6 boards. Ben Hanley 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jenkins added 11. He's the only other Tiger in double figures, as A.J. Clark had 3 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists to stuff the stat sheet for Coach Jimmy Smith's team. The visitors, as we mentioned, led by Jai Love, who played all 40 minutes. Juarez got a brief break at the end. He played 39. Love going for 15 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 3 boards, and 3 helpers. Juarez going for 15 of his own, 6 total rebounds, 3 assists, and of course, Latrell Toussaint, 16 points, 16 rebounds, and 1 assist. Big night for him, but it comes in defeat as Trinity win this one 74-65. For myself, Ryan Figert, joined by Brian Yanselson on the call. For Josh Maxagimba and Ryan Cedillo, we thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to have some Trinity women's basketball tomorrow. Stay tuned to the university's social networks for final details on tip-off time for that one. We'll see you then. Thank you, Ryan.